What we're going to do this afternoon is go through and talk about obviously what makes a great GCSE theory curriculum. Just a bit of background about why I've been asked to talk about this, and that is because at our school at the moment, for the past probably about the past 9 years, our theory curriculum has considerably outperformed our practical curriculum, and it's also been above national average year on year out with increasing grades in terms of the theory sides. It's been very, very strong, and there's been a number of things that we've done over the years. New ideas and so on, adaptations, tweaks as you can call it. And then we did a massive radical overhaul of it about 2 years ago. And again, the outcomes up until our exams this year, until we get the external data back in, all the internal data has been, again, very strong. And we're going to go through that and talk about it. What I'm going to talk about today is stuff that you can do as a head of department. So I'll mention some of the stuff that obviously teachers and lessons can do, and that's the first bit we're going to talk about in a moment. But predominantly, the amount of things we're going to talk about today is obviously what a head of department can do and what you can think about tweaking. Now, some of the stuff that you're going to cover tonight, I guarantee you might have heard before, you may have seen before. So in that benefit, it may just come as a helpful reminder to make sure you are doing these things. And then second of all, some of these things may be brand new to you. If you've been on one of the courses with me before, some of the things kind of overlap slightly. And again, it's just a time to reinforce the key messages that I've talked about before, and a chance obviously to come back together and bring it in and knit it together in a larger framework which a head of department can pass out to their colleagues. Now, the first thing we need to do using the chat box on the right hand side, again, just to check that everyone is able to hear me correctly, is answer that question. I'm going to spend a very small amount of time talking about what things can go on in lessons. So what is the anatomy of a great GCSE PE lesson? In the bottom right hand chat box, if you can kind of write some things in there, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. So there we go. We can start with that for the moment. We can add to it as we go on. So the whole idea of it is that as a head of the department, you want to make sure that the provision which your teachers, your staff, your colleagues are delivering to the students is as high as possible. And hopefully that it's consistent and happens all the time. Now, there are times, obviously, where I visited schools and worked with different schools, which the staff are delivering at GCSE is very strong. And it kind of all comes back to actually the principles which the head of the department puts in place and what the head of the department expects to see. So one of the things which I'm just going to talk first, that's the only time I'm going to mention the O word, is back to Mr. Michael Wilshaw a few years ago, and a quote that's come out, and the fact that a lot of people still want to chat to them about what their departments are doing, and talking about what their teachers are doing in the department under their guidance, is saying, well, actually, that Ofsted want to see this and Ofsted want to see that, and I need to make sure that my department are doing this because Ofsted needs to progress that and attain this and assess that. And actually, I think we need to kind of break that barrier. And as a head of department, I know we do have sometimes in school, we have line managers and senior managers and so on, where the O word becomes quite predominant and used quite often. But as a head of department, when it comes back to our staff that we work with directly on a day in, day out basis, it's about filtering that and actually just getting your staff to deliver fantastic lessons. And to go with it, I don't know how many of you have read the What Makes Great Teaching, the research review by Professor Rob Coe. If you have, yes, no, if you can just type it in the bottom right hand chat box, that'd be really, really helpful if you have or haven't. Okay, it is an absolutely fantastic thing. It got a lot of coverage a little while ago. There is a link to it in the bottom right hand corner. Yeah, the early part of this year got a big link, and it was set up by Durham University. Professor Rob Coe leading it with another team going through it. And it was looking at the evidence about actually what makes great teaching, and it kind of broke it down into 6 core principles, and 2 of them really come up to the top, to the forefront, about obviously what makes great teaching within schools. And the first one obviously is quality of instruction. So with your staff, making sure that you are working with your department and you've got a good grounding, some core principles down there that people in lessons are actually questioning well. You've got great assessment techniques. You've got fantastic ways of obviously providing instruction of new material. And as a head of department, that's quite high up. That when you're doing observations, when you're doing coaching, when you're doing mentoring within your department, you're actually making sure that staff that the quality of instruction, the questioning, and so on like that is actually of a high standard, and making sure that happens. And the second one, which came up really, really high, of having a strong impact on students, was the content knowledge, the pedagogical content knowledge. And again, as head of department, we're the ones, or you should be the ones, who are obviously filtering this through and trying to make sure that the curriculum that you design allows your teachers to have the best possible access to the knowledge that they're delivering to students. It's structured in such a way that the teachers become the expert in the classroom, and they've got lots of resources and details and information and facts and understanding, obviously, to share with students to develop that. So it's an absolutely fantastic read. Some of it, again, is common sense, but some of it is fantastic to go through. And kind of the overriding message that I'm trying to get through to this bit in a minute is the fact that as head of departments, we need to ensure that we are making it imperative that we keep the main thing, filtering it out, all the stuff that comes through from above and so on, working out what is the best fix for our students, for our teachers, for the cohort that we're working with, for the syllabus that we're working with, and specification, obviously, to get the best results that we possibly can. Now, I will go through and say, look, it's if you come on one of the other courses, we will look at, obviously, what is good feedback, what is good questioning, what makes or consists of good planning, and so on like that. But today we're going to look a little bit broader beyond that. I'm going to talk about things in the next section in a moment about what, as a head of department,